please tab and highlight and sticky note the .9 provided in front of you. Chapter 5 covers employment of the weapon system. Highlighted is some of the key takeaways that instructors here want you to take back and understand what Chapter 5 employment means. Again, it is referenced at the beginning, middle, and we will reference it at the end, highlighted here in 5.2. Regardless of the weapon system, the goal of shooting remains constant: well-aimed shots. To achieve the end state, there are two truths in marksmanship. Like I had talked about before, we will never withhold any information for you to become a better shooter and teach your soldiers how to become a better marksman. Soldiers must, 1, properly point the weapon, sight alignment, and sight picture. We will talk about the differences between sight alignment and sight picture. Fire the weapon without disturbing the aim. Like we had talked about before, pulling the trigger straight to the rear, letting the weapon discharge without disturbing your sights. What the Army has moved forward to, continuing in Chapter 5, is a shot process. I know many of you leaders and your senior leaders and officers, and on the civilian side as well, have used to heard of a thing called the 4 fundamentals of marksmanship. And depending on who you ask, those 4 fundamentals of marksmanship may changed, and you may have heard different things over time. Those 4 may include breathing, sight picture, trigger squeeze, and sight alignment. Or maybe you have heard a different of the 4 fundamentals of marksmanship. The Army used to follow the doctrine of the fundamentals of marksmanship, but with the new individual weapons qualification and advances and putting senior marksmanship instructors throughout our organizations, with these instructors, the Army has now moved forward from the 4 fundamentals of marksmanship to what is now called in the .9 the shot process. Wink, wink, stomp, stomp. You need to understand the shot process because each individual shot process for the end soldier user level may differ. And some things may need to be heightened for that individual soldier, whereas other soldiers may have a better grasp of certain things within their shot process. The shot process outlined here needs to be taken into consideration for every shot fired. As you can see, for me and my advice, it may work for you and it may not. Shooting is a very comfortable, calm, cool, collected thing. I am a strong advocate that shooters' preference and being comfortable is the highest and of utmost importance. By being comfortable and calm and understanding why the shot process is important will turn into repeatability. Repeatability will build and create consistency. Consistency will then create accuracy. Looking through the shot process, it is broken up into 3 subsections: pre-shot, shot, and post-shot. The shot process outlined in the .9 includes position, natural point of aim, sight alignment versus sight picture, hold, refining your aim, breathing control, trigger control, follow through, recoil management, calling your shot, and evaluating your shot. I have highlighted what is most important for me and my shot process. Again, you as SMEs and coaches need to go back when working with your soldiers and find where they need to heighten and focus on their shot process. An individual may be able to adapt a good position, however, their breathing needs work. Leaders, you need to determine and be calm when working with your soldiers to determine their deficiencies within their shot process. My highlighted points that I focus on during the individual weapons qualification are highlighted by the stars here on the visual aid. More stars is something that I need to focus more heightened in my shot process. The number one being my natural point of aim. Now, natural point of aim is described as and demonstrated by Sergeant Fulmer here.
So once again, we're going to be going through our natural point of aim first, all right? So if my target, I want it directly to my 12 o'clock. I need to assess where it is, look to my left and right, find it right in the middle here. And now I'm going to go down to the ground and start building my position. Now, something that I like to do here that I'm not going to mandate for you is that I cup the mag well. I pull it into my shoulder while I'm also simultaneously loading my right shoulder into the buttstock to give it that forward pressure so that I can manage that recoil and come back down on target in the appropriate time stamp. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kick my right leg up. This creates a space here for my breathing. We already talked about breath control, and this will help mitigate how much movement is being transitioned into the rifle when you're just breathing. This creates that space right here so that it doesn't translate that movement into your weapon system. Now, left hand, cupping that mag well, pulling into my shoulder, loading my shoulder into the rifle. I am nose to charging handle. That way I have that same repeatability and minimize that parallax. And now I go through my actual physical shot process.
Once we have established that a soldier can acquire a natural point of aim, for me and again my shot process, my next important, following the list in pre-shot, would be my sight alignment and picture. Ensuring, if I am using a magnified optic, as talked about before, that my eye relief and eye box with the magnified optic that I'm using is correct for me and my eye. Soldiers come in all different shapes and sizes, different eyes. That is something that you will need to help them find for a clear sight picture, as well as making sure that their sights are aligned. The next important, moving down the shot process during the shot, is my trigger control. Who in here has heard of the term resetting the trigger? I will now demonstrate resetting the trigger. Resetting the trigger and trigger control in the shot process is heightened when resetting the trigger at the soldier level. When the soldier has made the decision to engage their target, they need to pull the trigger straight to the rear without disturbing their sights, following their shot process. Engaging the safety selector switch to semi, the soldier will pull the trigger straight to the rear until the weapon discharges. Upon discharge of the weapon system, the weapon will cycle. The soldier does not need to remove their trigger finger outside of the trigger well or release pressure off of the trigger. Resetting the trigger, the soldier should release pressure until you feel and hear a metallic click. The metallic click indicates that the weapon has cycled, the trigger has reset, and now is able to continue firing with less movement of the trigger finger. Continuing on, for myself and my shot process, into the post-shot. You can see that stars have been annotated, one each. There are stars annotated on every position within the shot process for myself. Pre-shot, shot, and post-shot. All are important and need to be taken and accounted for every time I am engaging a target during the IWQ. However, after time and through instruction and coaching, have determined what I need to focus on. You, as leaders and subject matter experts, will follow the shot process for yourself during the Marksmanship Academy. You should ask if you have deficiencies on one specific portion of your shot process. You should, during training and throughout the tables of the IWQ, annotate deficiencies and help your soldiers where they are coming up short in their shot process. Continuing in Chapter 5, it breaks the shot process down even further for those that may want to read and understand or may have trouble determining what is defined in the shot process. We have talked about the stability, the aim, the control, and the movement. It goes in depth for you to understand and teach your soldiers on how to develop and implement a repeatable shot process. Soldiers, in the Marksmanship Academy, Thank you for not using your phones. At this time, everybody take out your phone. This is one of the best things that you will learn at the Marksmanship Academy. Who in here has ever heard of a leader or someone throughout your marksmanship careers say that you should not place the magazine on the ground? That is completely false and now has been annotated in doctrine in the .9. Please go ahead and take pictures and highlight. If you take one thing away from this course, you should note, per the TC.9, the magazine can be rested on the ground while using the prone unsupported position. Firing with the magazine on the ground will not induce a malfunction. Instructors at the Marksmanship Academy, to include myself, wish that they would word this as such. The magazine, instead of the word can should be replaced with will. The magazine will be rested on the ground while using the prone unsupported position. Firing with the magazine on the ground will not induce a malfunction. Who in here knows how to do immediate action on a malfunction of the M4 weapon system? What is the first action when performing immediate action for a malfunction on the M4? Ensuring the magazine is seated correctly and fully into the weapon system. By having the magazine resting on the ground, applying upward pressure, you are skipping that step in the malfunction immediate action process. It's common sense. These weapon systems, until we get the next generation squad weapon systems, these M4s with these rail systems, our barrels are not free-floated. You will see a video further in the Marksmanship Academy that talks about the importance of having a free-floated barrel and barrel flex of the weapon system while shooting. If you are ever at a range, subject matter experts and leaders, and you see soldiers going through the tables of the IWQ, resting pressure hard on the handguard or worse barrel of this M4 on rubber weapon blocks, resting blocks, or rucksacks, or the barricade, we are failing our soldiers. The magazine is free support that the Army has provided and is essentially a built-in monopod that will provide additional stability for the end user.